We'll start with the Wall Street Journal exclusive around what were reported on last week with Salt Typhoon targeting US ISPs. There's now more information becoming available of the attack that targeted Verizon Communications, AT&T, and T, and Lumen Technologies, and they're just part of the names that were breached as part of a recently discovered intrusion. The widespread compromise is considered potentially catastrophic, carried out by a sophisticated Chinese hacking group called Salt Typhoon. It appeared geared towards intelligence collections. According to people familiar with the attack, both AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen did not comment to the Wall Street Journal about what's going on there. Now, while companies are technically required to give out a material breach, right? If you go through an incident, the SEC requires you to report a material breach, but there is an exception clause there. That exception clause is in national security matters, meaning the FBI or any federal agency can give you a pass from actually disclosing the contents of the breach or the material of the breach due to an ongoing investigation. But this is significant a month before the presidential election here. We're really seeing Chinese ramp up their cyber activity targeting critical and vulnerable US networks. This one targeting telecommunication at broadband companies, where they intercepted electronic information. The attack, which was discovered in recent weeks, remains under active investigation by the US government and the private sector security analysts. Investigators are working to understand just exactly what data was observed or exfiltrated in this attack. One person familiar with the attack said the US government considered the intrusion to be historically significant and worrisome. Um, okay, history. OPM, historically significant and troublesome. Equifax, historically significant and troublesome. Marriott, historically significant and troublesome. And I can keep going. I can keep going by a death of a thousand cuts by incapable individuals at leadership to do the very basic of defending this nation um, from threats coming on from China that have been essentially hard hitting in the US. Officials have been alarmed by efforts by Chinese intelligence officers to burrow into vulnerable US critical infrastructure networks like water treatment facilities, power station, and airports. And again, if you're China and you think of your game plan, you go, we need to get a hold of Taiwan because if we get a hold of Taiwan, we strangle the world diplomatically and militarily. Why? 90% of all semiconductors come out of Taiwan. It's going to take years to rebuild that supply chain up, no matter where you build it, right? I mean, even the first semiconductor plants in the US aren't scheduled to go online until 2026, 2027. So you have that control. You have that control. You have a diplomatic advantage, which can get you to create more concessions towards China. Um, and so that's one of the threats that exist there. Investigators believe that intruders may have gained access to Cisco system routers, although Cisco hasn't denied this, um, but has definitely said that they're working with investigators. In a statement from the Chinese embassy in Washington, China firmly opposes and combats cyber attacks and cyber theft in all forms, coming from the nation that's known for knockoffs. Uh huh. Uh huh. I mean, the Chinese must think we're stupid. Either that or we just have stupid leaders that can't hold them accountable, right? It's one of two things. Microsoft is investigating the new Salt Typhoon intrusion, including other cybersecurity companies there as well. It's believed that they targeted the federal wiretap system, by the way, in this attack, and that's really the big one. The federal wiretap system um, is warrant based. It's active federal investigations that are tapping through court orders specific communications of people suspected of potentially terrorism, cyber espionage, you name it. And so if they did target that system, that's significant. That's like finding out everyone who's under investigation would get an email from the Chinese saying you're being wiretapped, and all those investigations would go down the drain, potentially costing hundreds of thousands of lives, or tens of thousands of lives, or even thousands of lives, or even one life.